Hello, beautifuls. This is Aromie here. Welcome back to Seduce Me 2 after the uncomfortable atmosphere last episode. We're now into a tense atmosphere because Seto was ready to attack us. Was this truly magic at work, or was I just nervous, not wanting to be skewered? Try. I had to try. I jumped away from Seto and quickly closed my eyes. Focusing on my hands, I needed my weapon. Within my hands formed two lavender orbs, circling around my hands. They glistened before finally shifting and forming to the guitars I was used to. Gripping it and feeling it physically in my hand, I smirked and turned back to Seto, bracing for another attack. We're gonna dodge. I bent back, watching the blade swipe over my body through the air. As they quickly straightened up, I noticed how open his body was for an attack. Like a repeated memory, I attacked him, clashing my weapon with his multiple times. The chime of our weapons smashing against each other rang through the room, the sound almost piercing my mind. It wasn't a noise I was ever going to be used to. Like the last time, we trained for hours on end, stopping once or twice for a break. However, I could feel my body slowly getting used to the feel of swinging a weapon and defending myself. At least I would be prepared in case something were to happen. As the sun began to set and the purple sky began to darken, we stopped once again for a third and most likely final break. Seto stretched and let out a small yawn as I did the same. I think I'm getting used to this. A chuckle escaped Seto's throat as he rose from one of his stretches. What stopped both of us from laughing was an echoed conversation in the hall, softly reverberating through the room. No?
Are you sure? Another kingdom wants to join the rebellion?
It would seem so. Diana isn't happy about it, though.
Why not? The leader of that kingdom is so handsome!
Excuse me?
He was indeed, but an alliance through marriage?
Aw, man.
Oh, come on! You can't tell me I'm the only one who can see it! I can see them being a beautiful king and queen!
Uh-oh.
I don't think she will marry him, despite it being a wise choice.
She would be stupid not to.
Well, the last time she signed her life away to marriage, her entire family was killed off while she was away. I don't think she could ever let marriage control her again.
I guess. Man, the only person she has now is that guard.
What? They're just dissing Seto like that? What the hell? My curiosity took hold of me and caused me to hug the wall near the door. Listening in further, Seto, however, remained where he was, looking toward the ground.
I wonder how they met. He's not an incubus, but he's mega powerful.
He is indeed very skilled. I'm slightly jealous of her for having such a devoted guard.
Devoted? He's crazy! I've heard them talk in private before. He keeps saying that he's in love with her. Love!
Oh my gosh, he looks so sad.
That is very odd. However, I wouldn't be surprised if her natural aura has affected him after years of servitude. I believe he's been with her since they were children, so that's over 100 years of protecting her and being close.
Ew, you guys are old as hell.
Yeah! He's probably just enthralled by her. She enthralls everyone she meets.
Nuh-uh.
A pure-blooded succubus will do that. At least she's the only pure-blooded demon of Lilith in the world.
That we know of, at least.
The conversation trailed off as the pair moved away from the room, and I looked back at Seto, seeing him grip his spear and grit his teeth. He didn't seem to like what Rabbit and Faye had to say. Seto? Are you okay? Seto looked up at me, a dull glaze over his eyes. From the expression on his face, I could tell that he had heard things like that before, but it still seemed to affect him emotionally. I frowned and walked over to him as he shook his head.
What they said about her marriage was true. When the Demon Lord's heirs left the demon world, my lady left to go after them. However, while she was gone, the Demon Lord attacked this castle.
I watched as Seto gripped his spear even tighter than before, shutting his eyes and turning his head away from me, almost in shame.
The Demon Lord's henchmen, the imp demons who brought you here, infiltrated our defenses and were able to reach the heart of the castle, where my lady's parents and unborn baby sister were hiding. Through some form of blood magic, they were able to break through the protective barriers around the room and...
He didn't need to explain. The heavy weight in my gut acknowledged what he was going to say before he could speak it. I looked to the floor, suddenly feeling very sorry for Diana. She lost her entire family while she had been in the human world trying to save them. It was too cruel. Settle let out a shaky sigh before looking back up to me.
When my lady returned, she vowed to seek vengeance and destroy the Demon Lord's tyranny. She formed the rebellion, and now, here we are, readying ourselves for the final battle. Everyone only sees the hard-faced, cutthroat queen of the rebellion when they look at her, as if she were unable to love or care.
Settle hand reached up his collar where a beautiful purple rose charm hung. His fingers ran over the surface as he smiled to himself.
However, Isaiah is still the sweet and innocent girl I grew up with. She's still the woman who saved me and protected me from a fate worse than death. I know deep down that the love I feel for her is pure and true. I vowed to protect her with my life, and I will forever stand by that promise. It's just difficult to hope that one day things may change, and that the one you love may turn around and say they love you in return.
No, he's just a hopeless romantic. Now may not be the best time to hope for that. Is there any way to prove your love to her? Settle, I'm sorry, I don't know what to say. Is there any way to prove your love to her? Settle didn't reply. He looked at me, deep in thought, before shaking his head. I thought I saw a glimmer of hope, but he rid himself of whatever thought he had been focusing on.
Never mind that. We need to focus. Let's continue.
I nodded, taking up my weapon again and preparing for our final sparring match. I slowly padded back to my room, tired from the day. I needed rest, and I needed the comfort of my bed and Matthew's arms around me. As I walked in, however, I took in a sight I did not expect to see. Matthew held Simon in a full-body chokehold, crushing his body like a stress ball and glaring him into his beady red eyes.
I'm gonna rip you apart!
We're not ever gonna have a break, are we? Matthew! I rushed in and grabbed Matthew's hands, prying them apart and letting Simon slip from between them onto the ground. Simon let out a squeak before running out of the room. Matthew, still for some reason enraged, took a step to follow him before I slammed my hand onto his shoulder.
Get back here!
Matthew, stop! What the hell is wrong with you? I gripped hard on Matthew's shoulder, causing him to turn to me and letting me grab his other shoulder. As I got a good look at his eyes, I gasped at the sight. His eyes were full of rage and anger as he panted in place. Whatever Simon did really made him go off of the edge, or something was influencing him again. I suddenly became afraid, shaking underneath his gaze. Every fiber of my body was completely began to spaz out as I became locked in his angry glare. What was happening to me? I opened my mouth, try and speak, but no sound would dare come out of my vocal cords. It was like I was too frightened to press him or stop him. As Matthew continued to pant for air and stare at me, something in his mind slowly melted, causing his eyes to slowly widen in realization at what he had done and what he was about to do to Simon. The strange hold on my body faded away as his muscles relaxed, trying to breathe and regain control of whatever had clouded his judgment. As it finally became apparent that he had returned to sanity, Matthew's eyes began to droop in sadness.
What am I doing?
I don't know, you tell me. Matthew pulled away from me, placing his hands between us and stepped back, staring at me in deep regret. I tried to step forward to try and comfort him, but he raised a hand to stop me, walking slowly over to the bed and sitting down, grasping his head.
Something happened to me. I don't know what.
I frowned as I slowly moved and sat next to him. In shame, Matthew covered his face with his hands and curled over his knees, digging his fingers into his forehead.
I keep hearing my mother's voice telling me to come home and save her. Whenever I do, I completely lose control of myself. I can't remember what I did or why I did it, but I always manage to do something wrong.
I grimaced, remembering the random attack on Diana. I placed my hand on his shoulders as he shuddered and shook his head again.
I gotta fix this. There's gotta be some way to stop it from happening to me.
Matthew, we need to go to talk to Diana, because, she's obviously like Tooth Fairy or something. Fairy godmother. It was painful to see him struggling. Still, I couldn't understand why he had to fight this alone. Why not go to the others for help? Matthew let out a sigh and slumped his shoulders further.
And let them help me? Like they've always done?
As Matthew turned to me, I could practically see the shame in his eyes as he spoke.
Every time I was in trouble, they'd always come and help. Every time I do something, I'm treated like a damn kid.
Oh. Matthew turned his head away and gritted his teeth, forming fists and laying them on his knees, tightening them in aggravation.
There's a reason why I didn't ask them to help with the wedding. I don't want them babying me and doing everything like I'm some sort of stupid moron who needs everything done for him.
But you're not seen that way.
I want to do this on my own. I can figure this out without their help. I'm not even the youngest, but they still treat me like I am, even Damien. I don't want that anymore.
I was speechless. Did Matthew really feel that kind of pressure from his brothers? My mind went back to the first day I had met them. How Eric treated Matthew like a little boy despite Matthew being close to his age. As a grimace of realization appeared on my lips, Matthew let out a shaky sigh.
I can't ask for their help. I'm sorry.
But if we don't ask for their help, you're gonna go crazy on me, and I'm pretty sure at that point I can't fix anything. Hug him or take his hand. What's the difference? Well, I mean, you guys know I do love me some hugs. Because I don't think taking his hand will do anything. Hug him. I felt terrible for Matthew. He definitely acted like a kid, but it seemed like only I remembered that he wasn't one. After all, I had been with this man for over 2 years of my life. I wrapped my arms around him, hugging me to him, and making him gasp in surprise.
Huh?
I burrowed my face in his shoulder, silently apologizing to him with a soft kiss on his neck. Slowly, Matthew wrapped his arms around me as well, taking in a breath and relaxing once more within my arms. A peaceful moment of silence passed between us before Matthew softly pulled away and looked me in the eyes.
I don't understand why you like me at all, you know?
Don't ask stupid questions. What? Confused, I stared into Matthew's eyes, trying to find the origin of where his statement came from. Matthew, however, took my hands and grasped them in his, looking down at them.
I love you so much. But I'm not mature like James or the others. I don't understand at all how someone like me could be remotely likable.
Are you kidding me? You're gonna have thousands of fangirls be upset at you for this statement. Because some people, everyone doesn't need a mature person in their life, okay? Some people like to have playful people in their life too. Like, I'm pretty childish in the relationship. Maybe my main character is the mature one and he's the childish one in the relationship. Stop. I glared, not wanting him to degrade himself. As he looked back up at me, he flinched at my stare, but I needed to get him to see what I loved and I needed to get him to see that I loved him and cared for him for every part of him. It didn't matter that he wasn't like his brothers. He was mine, and I loved him. I squeezed his hands, locking his gaze to mine. I love you for you, Matthew. I don't care what your brothers act like or how you're not like them. I don't care. I fell in love with you, not them. Matthew remained silent, staring deep into my eyes and taking in everything that I was saying with a broken but hopeful gaze. He really cared about me and didn't want to hurt me, but I didn't want him to hurt either. Whatever this is, whatever thing is trying to control you, we'll fix this. But don't you dare degrade yourself like that. Press your forehead a kiss? No, let's kiss him. Show him all the affection we can. At last I leaned forward and pressed my lips to his, locking his in mine in a loving kiss. Matthew stared wide-eyed before very slowly closing his eyes and melting into the lip lock. I wanted to show him how strong and wonderful he was. I fell in love with him not just for his childish side, but how he made me feel with every part of him. He was very much an adult when I was locked in his arms, and I drowned in his kisses constantly. I was so lucky to have him as mine, and I wanted to remind him of that with every part of me, mind, body, and soul. I slowly slid my legs over. Excuse me, huh? I slowly slid my legs over his lap, straddling his hips, and made the kiss between us deeper, relishing in the feelings that were burning between us. Matthew slowly drew his hands up my sides and wrapped them around me, hugging me to his chest almost possessively and making me gasp against his lips. He was getting the idea and I was happy that my message was clear enough to understand. He was mine and I was his. We would support and hold on to each other forever and nothing would separate us. My clothes were slowly You guys are this word slowly stripped off of my body. Matthew taking his time and looking at every inch of my body as it became exposed. I would shyly show him, but happily allow him to indulge and ravish me as he desired if he craved it. A flash of gold passed over his eyes as he finally grasped the back of my neck, and kissed me passionately. I couldn't help but moan against his lips, feeling his free hand dance around each curve of my body as his enthrallment slowly eased itself into my core, warming my soul in love and need. Oh, he looks so adorable! I couldn't stop myself from grinding against my incubus, needing him to undress himself and let us make love like I deserved. Oh, desired. Sorry, not deserved. Like we both desired. Matthew slightly smirked against my lips before turning us over and staring at.
You're so beautiful. You know that?
And you're super adorable right now. Do you know that? Like, look at his eyes. It looks like puppy eyes. It's so cute. I felt my body warm at his words, making me distracted as Matthew began to run his hands all over my body, leaving no inch of skin unexplored and unconquered by his fingers or lips. I arched back, pressing my head back to the pillows beneath my bed. Not bed. And let out a loving sigh and moan with each pleasurable touch he placed on me. This was truly heaven. I was so lost that I barely noticed him stripping as well and hovering over me, finally allowing us to become one. As he did, the world around me became lost. I only could see Matthew and he could only see me. We would become lost in each other's eyes as we wrapped each other in pleasure and love, climbing through our carnal ecstasy and chanting each other's names like two prayers in sweet harmony. My hands guided themselves around Matthew's body, feeling a slight sweat layered over his soft skin as I dragged my nails over his back. From the pleasurable hiss that erupted from him, I could tell that he enjoyed that and would pay back in kind. Our lovemaking soon became rapid and heated. Rapid, unrelenting in its crescendo towards a beautiful and hot climax. We drove through it together, and caring of who would hear us, or hear our cries and screams of love, before slowly easing into a gentle and feather-like afterglow. Matthew and I held on to each other, lost within the embrace between us and euphoric in our emotions. I was so happy to have him in my arms, cuddling to pull him closer to me and cuddle against him. Matthew laughed a bit before kissing me softly, nuzzling my forehead with his. That was a lot of reading. Anyway, I love you, Matthew.
I love you too.
That sounds seductive as fuck. What the hell? We remained there, taking in the sounds of our synchronized breathing and letting our hearts eventually beat as one. We would get through this. We would. Sleeping that night filled us with determination for the day. There was a game. I fill us with determination. Is that Undertale? That does that? I don't remember. I was hopeful, rooting that everything was going to be alright. Yeah, Undertale, when we would look at random stuff and it's like you're filled with determination or something. Of course, not everything turns out the way we want. Gosh darn it, the morning came at last, rising me from my sleep. Surprisingly, I was full of energy, ready to go and take on the day's training. However, I quickly realized that I was alone. Huh? Matthew? I sat up and looked around, not seeing him anywhere in the room. Worry crept into my mind. What if he left to do something he was influenced to do? What if he tried to figure out a way to force the influence out of him? I grabbed my bedsheets to remove it from my body when I looked up to see the door swing open, revealing Matthew holding 2 plates of food for me.
Good morning!
God damn it, Matthew, scaring me. I became dumbstruck. Matthew? What was up with him and why was he up so early? He wasn't exactly an early bird. No, I was gonna say blurred. Matthew grinned as he walked over and presented a plate of delicious looking fruit, eggs, bacon, toast, and pancakes I had ever seen. My mouth went agape at the mere sight and smell, and I slowly took it from Matthew's hands. Matthew, when did you make this?
This morning, duh! When else would I have been able to make it?
Did you not sleep? I mean, they don't really need sleep. I looked up at him. He seemed very happy and cheerful, despite everything that happened the night before. Did he manage to drive out the influence? Doubt it. As I noticed the dark circles under his eyes, I could tell that the night had become somewhat of a struggle, so maybe that was indeed the case. Still, something in my gut pressed me to be cautious. Something wasn't entirely right about this situation. Even though seeing Matthew being happy made me happy too, I slowly began to dig in, savoring every delicious bite and almost forgetting my worries about it. Wow, this is amazing! Matthew let out a happy sigh and nodded.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna go to training now.
Okay, and this is where we're gonna stop. Because, you know, that's how I am. We're gonna stop here for today, but it seems like Matthew obviously did not get any sleep. But he said they didn't really need sleep in the demon world, because they have to be awake in case someone tries to kill them. All they need is food and then the love making for energy. But he's acting really weird. So we're gonna find out next week what's gonna happen. I know it's very long. It's very long to wait for that. But thank you guys for watching. Stay beautiful, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.